Hello there, my fellow farmers. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Town to City. Episode 4, Fontebrac, the Farmer Village. And we're going to head over to Fontebrac. A gentle valley, lake, bordered by fertile grounds, paints the picture of a farmer's village ready to be brought to life. Welcome to Fontebrac, our farming town. Let's start your journey by setting up the first farmhouse. Alright, before we set up a farmhouse, I think it's worth laying out some infrastructure. So as you can see, this farming town has a giant lake in the middle, and the lake is going to somewhat restrict where we're going to build. Now, keeping in mind, the services that you supply to your citizens should be as close to the station as possible because of the logistics, the warehouse logistics. So we're going to want farms further than normal houses. When you move to a new town, does the previous one keep advancing? No, it freezes. It's like frozen in time. I'm going to go with a different style of road too. So let's go ahead and plan on the edge of map is here. So as you can see, this is a very physically constrained zone, right? There's not a lot of like open space. This is maybe the most open, but it's also very far from the station. And I'm not going to be able to afford the logistics of moving goods around there. So what I'm planning on doing is focusing most of my population growth around the coast. And then putting some of the farms up this way. Okay, so there is townsfolk residents and farming residents, and they're different from one another. I'm going to put the farmers up the hill, right there. And then farmers, as the tutorial will explain in just a minute, do not work normal jobs. They only work farm jobs. So there's no one in there yet, because no one's arrived. Before anyone arrives, because I do start off with like a nice little wad of cash. What I want to do is I want to put my warehouse in here and then start with the basic stalls. So I think let's have very small plaza roads all around the warehouse to make it easier for things to have a quick connection to it. Put in the cheese and poultry. And I'm just going to keep it to those two for now, just to limit the amount of like physical labor that we have. Put in some basic houses, because even that we're farming towns, we're still going to need like regular workers. Game doesn't work all that well on all farm work. And I think people are starting to move in. Here we go. So we're going to move them into the farmhouse. You have your first you have housed your first farming resident. This family will take care of the land and can't be employed elsewhere. So as a result, they can't work the shops or anything like that. So we're going to need to have regular people work those jobs. Let's go ahead and set up this farmer with some basic decorations. And then, importantly, hit farm button. Oh, you know what? Okay, the tutorial doesn't want me to do that just yet. Oh, here it is. This is the farming menu that uses farm points to unlock new items and tiers. Farm points are generated by providing your residents with crop-powered commerce. Grape and winery. Let's plant the first crops. Click on the farm and open the farming tab. This menu allows you to access your crop bushes and an overview of the farmhouse. So I'm going to paint grapes to map edge. And you can see the amount of square footage that I require, or at max. And that is the maximum amount that a grape farm can support for now. So farmers need to be happy to be productive, which means we need like standard citizens to then support the transportation and food delivery and all that stuff. Here we go. Moving the regular people in. Put one in the warehouse, one in the food stall. The food stall just reaches. Oh no, does it not? Now let me move the cheese stall so that it reaches that farmhouse. Okay, once I have a little bit, I think it was reaching. I just don't have the transportation capacity for it just yet. But we will in just a moment. I just need like one more person to move in. Come on. Okay. So now, the farmer has both poultry and cheese. And they need a granary to the farmhouse to supply the crops. And in this case, it's going to be best for it to be really freaking close. So we need to build a granary and make sure the granary is functional. Alright, we need a few more people. There we go. Now we have people transporting the wine, or the grapes rather, to the granary. Next, build a winery. Set up the winery to receive crops and generate farm points from having a winery. So here it is. A winery is a very small workforce and above average production. So in laying down the winery, the other thing I want to design in advance is where my artisan class is going to live eventually. So I want them living up on the cliff up here. Which means I'm planning on having a winery like here. Maybe I'll put it here. Now this winery will still support the houses down below. For now, but that will change later on. And look at all of them moving in. Alright, wouldn't be a terrible idea to get a research center. I'm just going to stick that here. We have more people wanting to move in. For now, I'm sure I'm going to have, like... Oh, and here we go. Winery workers. So one person working in the winery. We don't have enough transport labor for... Oh, the warehouse can't transport to that building, so let's increase the transport workers. And in this case, the warehouse is too far from the winery. So I'm going to upgrade the road between... There. And now the winery is... got the grapes. making wine, and supplying luxury and wine to the houses below. I have, so this is where you can find information regarding your crops and crop-powered buildings. So I have extra grapes free. This farm, if you're wondering, is producing more grapes than our winery is using, in other words. Which is fine. It's not a big deal to try to keep them balanced. And we're now generating farm points from having the winery built. All right, it would be in my best interest to get the road between the station and the warehouse upgraded for logistics reasons. So that's also going to be high demand. Oh, and I have need of a new house. I have $1 to my name, though. It's going to be a minute. Oh, you're a toddler now. Yep. Sorry, kiddo. I'm just going to fast forward time a little bit so that I can actually get some income, because I have absolutely no money. Good lord. I don't think I get money by removing trees, do I? Well, I'm, a wee bit bottlenecked. We'll start racking in the money as soon as, I can build another house or two. I'll just keep fast forwarding time. And even then, even though we have barely any services at all, it's not like anyone's particularly unhappy. Although this area definitely stands to gain from some decorations. In fact, I would go so far as to say, maybe I will refund some trees to be able to push the needle towards additional housing sooner. Don't worry, I'll make it nicer later. This isn't a permanent removal. Just for now. God, the wait for that felt like ages. Move in. And the more people that you have, of course, you know, the larger your tax base. So population growth is crucial. Okay. These houses don't need to be on top of one another. There we go. That's a little nicer. Probably didn't need to buy like a tier 2, upgrade my roads and buy a tier 2 warehouse. This is, if you're wondering, this is very much self-inflicted. I mean, the damage is done. I'll live with it, but... Oops. I definitely didn't want to do that. I'm glad I canceled that. There we go. Yeah, Now it circles around. Looks a little bit more organic. And we almost have enough farm points generated for some unlocks. So we have a bakery with corn and wheat. So I'll start spending for corn and wheat. And as soon as I get $100 more, I'll buy another house. It's too bad I can't ask for a tax infusion for my last town. It's like, I'm the same mayor, just give me my money. But nope. $95, $96. There we go. And all these new people, you know, I don't have my research building up. So we start with everything in the hamlet and dwelling tier. But I'm not employing them in the research building at the moment because I don't really have money. In fact, actually, I should just delete it. Get the money back and use it for pop growth. That seems wise. Because I was sort of hamstrung for progress. Alright, we have 2 people working the winery now. And as a result of having more people working in the winery, one thing you'll notice is the available grapes and supply will change a bit. Alright, so now we're making like 3 times more money per day than it was before. Ooh. And we unlocked both corn and wheat. And once we have enough farm points for bakery, I can get a bakery up, which provides food. High quality food that makes people happy. Okay, happiness should be going up a lot. I just added a bunch of new food stalls. One of the advantages of adding the new food stalls is it's actually income, as people are like spending their money as a result. So if you take a look at the tax breakdowns for commerce, you know, the benefits of the stalls sort of pay for themselves. As you might have noticed, my money per day has gone up from the connections income, from having all those stalls connected to the warehouse and all of the benefits that come with supplying food to people that pay for it. And yes, I will be planting food for the bakery. It all comes down to not having enough money to build farms at the moment. But the next, once I house a few more people, the next buildings will be farmhouses. They're just a little bit more expensive, and I wanted a bigger tax base to afford it. They're also desiring apparel. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to get like a shoemaker or a clothing store up there, or optician, something like that. Once we have the means to. Oh, and that house broke the back of all of the market workers. You want a house far away from any neighbors. You know what? Dismissed. That's not a trait I can easily accommodate at the moment. So, tell them to get lost. We've got 0 extra townsfolk. So one of the things I was originally going to do, but I'm not, I'm going to hold off, is I'm not going to add farmers just yet until we have an excess of townsfolk to be able to deal with the influx of farmers. Because, you know, the farmers don't actually do the work themselves for food booths and the like. But, alright, there we go. Now we have a surplus of townsfolk workers to fill in, like, transportation and the like. Because what will end up happening as soon as we build another farm is we're going to need labor for the granary. Because right now, 100% of the granary's capacity is met by demand. One thing we could do is change the crops we're farming a little bit. So if you take a look at the... I'll do that in just a moment. I'm going to build one more house. But if what we could do is we could try to match the amount of grapes we're using with the amount of grapes we're growing, so that we can start growing corn and wheat for the bakery. I'll do that in just a moment. So in order to do that, we go to the farm. And we just erase... erase some grapes. And if we take a look at the grapes, we have 31 extra available because we're only using like 50. So let's just erase down to about 50. And you can see it here, production 73. All right, production 50. So that's how many grapes we are using in the winery. Because it requires 50 to run. And then go back to the farm and paint corn. Paint a little bit more grapes because I deleted a tiny bit of grapes. There we go. And then paint wheat. I'm going to try to get the corn to 50 just so that we can balance it better. There we go. Alright, so we have 50 corn, 50 grapes, 33 wheat. And that will get us closer to being able to get a bakery without having to have like extra, like 2 extra farms. Instead, we'll just have 1 extra farm. And that does, you know, that uses the same amount of granary capacity, but has us growing more of a variety of foods. Let's fast forward time so we can get a second farmer's residence. And I know I haven't decorated anything. It's just there's not a lot of money in the decoration budget at the moment. And as long as they're happy and immigrating, that's fine. And the threshold, again, is 60%. So as long as it's 60%, we'll have people moving in. Now, they want a comfortable house. A farmhouse is fine. A farmhouse doesn't bother them. Some people will want to move into specifically farmhouses. But in this case, that's not an issue. We have 87 of the 200 points we need for bakery. And let's here start planting wheat. And as you can see, it does not delete the old farm's wheat, as you may have noticed. I can plant freely without having to worry about nuking the sown crops for the other farm. They won't override one another. they will only override their own crops. So this is making a lot more corn than wheat. I'm trying to aim for a rough balance. So a little bit more wheat. 63, 63. Perfect. Which means that in the last farm that we had, we can try to balance that out as well. So let's do that. So this should be a little bit more wheat than corn. Come on. 41, 41. All right, that's fine. There we go. So now we have the bare minimum amount of grapes we need for the winery, and then everything surplus in wheat and corn. And we're getting some basic houses in for being able to support more regular people, because we're basically out of townsfolk workforce because they're having to work in the granary. So we have 4 granary workers as a result. And all the granary workers are doing is hauling crops from the farm to the granary. So it's just it's barely any travel. It's just that much volume. You can think of it that way, which is why I built it like next to it. All right, we're getting pretty close to the bakery. It is a really nice pond. It's idyllic, for sure, this map tile. So I'll fast forward time, and then I think it might be due for some decorations. So the farmer's over here. We'll do plants. Get that, like, sort of green, earthy aesthetic for the farm. I do have a light, and I have a flag, so we'll do, like, a little... let's do bollard. A flag for the granary. Maybe a little bench. I'll put red flowers in the granary. This will be the all red. Speaking of which, one of the houses have flower decoration requirements. I'm just going to dismiss that right now because I don't really have the money for it. I can barely have the money to put people in a house, let alone decorate. And we are 48 points away from the farm requirements, and you can also see that in the bottom right. All right, of the original houses, who were so patient to wait for the decorations that they're long overdue, let's circle back. So, on this side of the street, we had plants, and over here we'll do sunflowers. We'll go back to plants near the water. One of the new residents that are asking to move in has the desire for farming decorations. I'm going to also dismiss them because I don't have a lot of farming decorations even unlocked. So farming decorations are here. So the wooden arches are the only ones I have so far. I don't have like scarecrows and other things that would make more sense to have it on a farm. So I didn't want to offer them a place to live with almost no capacity to keep them happy. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. And because our growth is somewhat hindered by my being able to afford houses, I could be more choosy about who we offer residents as a result. So some basic housing decorations, enough to keep them happy. And we'll move them in there. We now have enough for a bakery. And again, bakery is another luxury thing, so I'm going to put the bakery up here, despite the fact that it's a little far from the town center. And this is so that it can support the artisan district once we have artisans. And I'm not going to build anything else because the infrastructure needed to support a bakery is going to tax the warehouse. And there we go. So now all of these houses have access to the bakery. And that's, this bakery is only using like 15 corn, 15 wheat. So it's barely using any of the corn and wheat I'm already growing. So as you can see, one farm can easily support like a winery and a bakery by itself. I have more raw resources than I even need by a long shot, as you can see. Available out of total. Apparently I'm growing 56 grapes. I thought I was growing 50. Yeah, it somehow changed to 56. I guess their happiness went up and their productivity went up. So they're happier now. Well, you're welcome. All right, one thing that we are definitely lacking is apparel. So the clothing store does not have luxury. So I'm going to put a clothing store for everyone else down here. The concept is the artisans eventually will get clothing stores that provide luxury, like the optician or the shoemaker. But for everyone else, they're going to have regular apparel. And that way it keeps it separate so that I'm not, once I get artisans, I'm not neglecting the rest of the residents that would want apparel. And we have people that want to move in. There you go. So now apparel needs should be met just about everywhere. These people want to live near trees, and it just so happens that there's a whole bunch of trees here. So once I have the money for a house, I'll just stick them here. Because the naturally occurring trees should satisfy their tree needs. It doesn't need to be stuff I plant. The same is true of, obviously, the water and the cliffs, right? You don't make water, you don't make cliffs, but there's still trait benefits if they're satisfied. Cool. So far, so good. I did unlock some of the farming decorations, and once we have farming points up to 400, we will be able to get tier 2 farming. And the way to make farming points, again, is your farm buildings will produce the farming points themselves. So your like winery and bakery, these things generate farming points. So the winery is generating 120 farming points per day. The bakery is generating 120 points per day. And that's, so it has to be like a, you have to be using your crops. You can't just like make raw crops and have it generate points. So keep that in mind as you play. Alright, I think it's maybe time to try to save up for a mayor's home so that I can start taking mission quests, because that's part of unlocking new zones as well. And I've neglected that as a result of not having the capital for it. Lemon, thank you for the resub. All 42 months of it. Come on. Speed time back up. I'll put the mayor's home. That works. It doesn't... So the mayor's home doesn't actually need street connections. You can, like, put the mayor's home off in the middle of nowhere. That's fine. Right, because you could be... Here, you know? This is the mayor's home now. Jean-Claude. Well, never mind. Hey, Mayor, don't you just love wonderful bread smell? And I mean fresh bread, the freshest. There's nothing better. If only Mom would bake us some every morning, but guess what? That's never gonna happen. Could you do something about this? Speaking of which, I baked scones just yesterday. So move Jean-Claude's family to live close to a bakery. Hey, do I smell fresh bread? Every time I go outside, it's like I'm stepping into a loaf of freshly baked bread. I love it! You're welcome, but like, also, the aesthetic of you and your red house right next to all the farm, ruin it for me, buddy, so you're gonna get moved back. Oh, so close to fresh bread smell, huh? I'm evil. Alright, we have someone that wants to live near apparel shops. The problem is I'm not planning on having my apparel shops be clustered for that. And then they want to live with no neighbors, so I'm going to dismiss them as well. I'm going to be a little bit pickier than I was before. So, let's go ahead and start decorating around the houses. I feel like without trees, this feels naked. A few trees goes a long way to make it look okay. Thank you for tuning in to Town to City, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow villagers.